Let's see. We got the text going. Here we go. So, Project 4. Let's talk about it. Project 4 is going to be, this is the first time that I've run this project. So, in the past, I would have the students do an infographic for Project 4, and about 1 in 10 of the infographics would turn out good. The purpose of this assignment is to help you guys start to think about illustrative text, how to be able to pair text with illustrations, and to get a general overview and some insight into graphic design. So while you're in college for illustration, painting, animation, motion graphics, etc., there's a whole nother batch of students out there that are doing graphic design for their college major. Now, this doesn't go for everybody. We're making gross generalizations here. Graphic designers generally are not the best illustrators. They've focused and put an emphasis for 4 years on different areas and principles of design, and they're learning and appreciating a different type of visual language than someone who, say, is going to go into game art and design or character creation is going to focus on. However, the lessons that those folks are learning in the graphic design programs are still very apt and important for you as an animator, illustrator, whatever route you decide to go, to be able to understand what it is that they're picking up. So that's what you're supposed to be getting out of this project. This is also the project where we introduce Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator, there are some artists out there, maybe 1 in 100 who really love Adobe Illustrator. I don't happen to be one of those artists myself. Where I find myself using Adobe Illustrator the most is for any type of logo work or sometimes t-shirt work, anything that's going to be printed and needs to exist within several different sizes. Sometimes if you're doing a massive billboard or something like that, you might end up doing it within Adobe Illustrator as well. But Illustrator is a vector-based program, if you've never heard of this before. So it means that each one of the lines that you put in there is a mathematical equation. It's not pixels like we work with within Photoshop. Instead, you're doing vector lines like a TI-82 calculator with these line strokes. The benefit to vector art is that it can be scaled up or scaled down infinitely, and it will retain the sharpness of the line structure. Whereas with pixel art, we compensate for this within Photoshop when we're painting to make something 300 DPI or really, really massive because we know that we we don't want it to become dithered or to start to look really pixelated or fragmented. Now, what is this new project for all about if you're not doing an infographic? What you guys are going to be creating here is album art. So you're going to be doing an entire jewel case for a CD. So this can be a musical artist that you like a lot. It can be a single song, like an EP. Maybe they're just releasing, just a couple songs on this record. It can be the soundtrack from a movie that you like a lot. There's a lot of room for interpretation here. So this is your time to go into your local record store, go do some research. The internet is it's going to be tricky to be able to find this stuff just looking through the internet, but going into a record store is by far and away the fastest way to do that. When you go in there, just start browsing. Pull up the records that you think look cool, take some photos of them, start building a visual library of this stuff for what your idea is going to be. That's what I recommend how you approach this thing. You're going to find when you start looking at other album covers out there that they are extremely varied and there's all kinds of different different approaches to how people do this. You let's bring some up. So we got something cooler to look at here. All right. There we go. Here's one of them from Bjork. um, And when you're looking at these album covers, you want to take into consideration what the back of the album cover is going to look like as well for the jewel case for the CD. The inside liner notes is something that you're going to be designing as well. So this is a fully fleshed out project. Within the module online, it's got a couple files for you guys to be able to download for the dimensions that you're going to be working within for the inside and the outside for this thing. It also has mock-ups so that you can actually go through and create the design. And keep in mind, we're working within Adobe Illustrator. Now, that said, I highly recommend that you do not, within Adobe Illustrator, just do a trace of somebody's face, of the particular artist. That's not going to be the most interesting thing. It's going to turn out a little bit boring, and we really want to play around with graphic design elements here. One of the things that I recommend at the top of this project is that we want to be using good graphic design. The Cash Money era for rap artists is definitely a signature style and stood out on the CD shelves, and you could always recognize it. However, graphic design wise, there's some things and some choices that they made in here. Everything is completely over the top, and it's a little bit questionable. I think that, modern rap albums have come a long ways, and there's some other options out there that we can look at to really be able to get creative. You've got total freedom within this. I just ask that, again, you focus more on a graphic appeal within this project. So something like this, the map of the soul, the journey. Um, is a really, really beautiful result here. It's not the most complicated illustration. We've been doing a lot of very complicated illustrations within this course, but instead, this project is all about creating a good, cohesive brand that represents the song or the theme of the album or the theme of the music, right? You've got the classic Gorillaz Demon Days album as well, with the four different characters on there, if that's a direction that you'd want to go. However, if you do the Gorillas, just know that the artist that's doing the work for them is extremely talented, and I would not want to try and keep up with him. So, yeah, some stuff to keep in mind as we're approaching this next project. Yeah, we've got the front cover, the back cover, and here's just within the module, it goes through and it gives you a description of each one of these, who designed it, what the meaning and the feeling behind the concept was. And yeah, so you're going to do the inside jewel case, the record art or the CD design as well. So the print that's going to go on top of the CD or the record, you're going to figure out what that's going to look like. And this is a lot about layout design and thinking about your graphics and how they're going to pair with the text and how the two balance out with one another. This is one of those things that a lot of illustrators, game artists, animators aren't really the greatest at. And I highly recommend that you take this time and start thinking about that stuff. There's so many super talented background artists and character artists that have really, really ugly looking websites. And it's a shame. I don't know how they continue to do that with how many themes for Wix and other websites are out there, but they mess the graphic design up pretty bad. And having an eye for what works and what looks good is what we're going to be talking about within this next series of videos. So start thinking about that. Start getting some ideas out there for what it is that you might want to create. Here's an example that I did for a friend of mine named, he's got a band called Beauregard and the Downright. And here was my process for it. So I've done a couple different album covers over the years. And they're always really cool to work on and pretty special for the artist. And so started off with the front cover. Then he told me what he wanted to do for the back cover of this thing as well. The name of the album was Stepping Out. So he's getting out of the city as things are going off the rails and stepping into a calm, serene nature. And I wanted to be able to show the front and the back of the character. And then from that first initial sketch that I did, I wasn't really happy with the way the character turned out. I felt like I could draw him better. So then I did a second larger sketch of the character and then got some more notes on what was supposed to be going on. For some reason, he's supposed to have a pocket knife in his hand. And I guess his dad gave that to him or something. And so yeah, there's how it ended up, and this is a good example of what the mock-up is going to look like at the very end when you turn these projects in, so that we can see the front, the back, and then it looks like a real product that actually exists, which this is a real album that does exist. So Bogart in the downright. Now you can see over here how I've created on the cover of this thing a font treatment that works and reads well and got good hierarchy of text. But then I'm using the same font pairing on the back as well for song one, song two, whatever the different tracks are. And the shape language is similar. So on the front, I'm using the circle, and then on the back, I'm using the other big circle here between the two of them. And yeah, showing all the lighting going on with the guy as things are going down. This was a really cool illustration. So this is someone who won the World Illustration Award, and this was a series of illustrations that he did for Google. And this is one of those that just really, really got me excited for how to be able to render characters, the shape language that he's using, the tight little details, the balance between the silhouettes, the use of noise and texture within this is just really, really nicely done. So yeah, there we go. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah, there's a lot of different pieces of album art that exist out there in the world. I can't wait to see where you guys take this and what it is that you end up deciding to do. Again, it's going to have the band's name, the title of the album or the title of the song on there, and then you're also going to be putting in some more graphic design elements on the inside and the back as well. Yeah. So that's it. That's the brief overview here, and we're going to be working in Illustrator. So stay tuned and let's see where this one heads.